Welcome to Co-Branded, your go-to source for brand strategy, design, and business insights.
Whether you're just starting out or leveling up, we're here to help you build your brand with confidence.
Let's dive in.
Hey, Josh, what's happening?
It works a lot, but we're doing it. We're moving forward, and we're going to make it work.
Yes.
So today we're going to chat about no code and custom code websites and what the difference is, what is the best choice for the business owner, and talk a little bit about the differences and the uniqueness about each kind of choice. Does that sound good?
That sounds about right.
Okay, cool. So let's start with the appeal for business owners about no code websites. I've have a long history of the technical side of things and have been quote unquote coding websites for, well, lots of years now, I guess. So I have strong opinions held loosely about one or the other.
So you're a developer?
No, I am a designer that has developer ability. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I fall easily in both camps of left and right brain, of being kind of analytical and structural and like building things, and then also being more creative on the other side in terms of the aesthetics and design. So it's actually been a really good thing, I think, for me that websites are even a thing, because it allows me to flex both sides.
Sure.
Of I don't know my muscles, but it allows me to
Your brain muscle.
Brain muscles allows me to explore both sides of that coin. So I have opinions on it, but generally for business owners, there's lots of options out there to do no-code websites such as Squarespace and Wix and Webflow and Showit and GoDaddy and probably numerous other tools out there, even probably some AI tools that I'm unfamiliar with at this point. But they are a really great low-cost option. They're generally cheaper than just jumping into custom development. Custom development can be expensive depending on what you're trying to accomplish. And depending on the scale of the project and what your needs are, the website builders are potentially a really good option for business owners.
Agreed. Well, yes. And I only work in Squarespace as of right now. It is very designy and it's very, what you see is what you get. And I love it. There are so many templates. There is so much that you can do. I use code too, but it's mostly CSS or HTML only. There are some limitations with that, of course. There are some limitations. Some things have to be done a little bit more manually, but it has a lot of capabilities that a regular small business is looking for, right?
Yep.
So it has, everything is responsive, obviously. I mean, I feel stupid saying this. It's 2025, right?
Joe, no, I've actually just recently, within the last year, I was on a conference call with a prospect and they asked if we were going to make the website mobile friendly. And I'm like, well, yes, if you are speaking to any other team that doesn't, then that's probably not the right fit.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
But let's pause for a moment, because there are probably some people that don't understand what the word responsive means. So what is responsive?
Okay, so responsive means that it acts beautifully both on desktop and mobile, and it has all the functionalities. Actually, Squarespace introduced another builder, which is really interesting, because until now you had the desktop version of your site and then it just automatically converted it into mobile. But right now they're separate, so you can absolutely
tailor it.
You can tailor it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And one of the big benefits of no code is that generally you don't need to have technical knowledge or experience. I think a lot of small businesses that are kind of scrappy and want to do the DIY route, they're really great tools for that. It allows you to primarily launch quickly. I think there are certainly some limitations to no code in terms of, if you're a small business and you're simply picking a template off the shelf and just running with it, how many other businesses are using that same template? Are you really differentiating your brand by using one of these builders? And obviously, like we mentioned before, there's a limitation in terms of what functionality you're going to have.
Yeah.
Who are they for? To me, they are for small businesses that only really need more of like a brochure marketing website. Like they don't really even care about functionality. They don't need it. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm waiting for you to finish this because you might add something to it that will make me not want to,
So please jump in. Don't let me just run the show.
Please.
But if literally you just need to talk about your cleaning service.
Yeah, it's a landing page.
Yeah, landing page or even multiple pages like the About Us and a simple contact form, but you don't need, let's say, like scheduling services. You don't need custom inventory. You don't need specialized. I mean, I know some of these systems have that, but
well, yeah. So Squarespace has something that's called Acuity,
Yeah.
which is an added-on service. It's not ridiculously expensive, and it's really good at scheduling. And so that's one thing. Of course, you can also embed scheduling, but you can embed anything anywhere, right? Of course. As far as inventory is concerned, so Squarespace is actually getting better and better at e-commerce sites.
Sure.
It's getting better and better at inventory, at different types of orders, shipping, and all these things. As of right now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend Squarespace to e-commerce businesses. I think Shopify is a much better choice. I think it also depends on, do you want to go to Shopify with Shopify directly from the very beginning, or do you want to test it out on Squarespace? Let's say that you're only selling few items, then Squarespace is fine. But I think there's also a lot of value in saying, okay, we're going to see how this works on Squarespace first. And if it does, but it's the same thing with anything, right? You can use Squarespace as a litmus test and then move on to whatever you need, like WordPress or Shopify or what.
Yeah, and one thing I will note, this episode is not sponsored by Squarespace.
It's not, but Squarespace, if you want to sponsor us, just let us know.
Yeah, we'll gladly accept sponsorship.
Yeah.
No, and that's the thing is I think, over time, these tools have become more and more sophisticated that allow you to do more things. And Shopify is another great example. It's primarily related towards e-commerce type businesses. It's generally the platform to sell products. And we've used Shopify numerous times over the years, and it's been around a long time, at least 10 plus years. So it's not a new thing. It's something that's grown and been more sophisticated over time, and it can solve your need. Generally, I would say, I don't know the percentage, but a vast majority of small businesses, even to medium-sized businesses that are selling products, don't need to build a custom e-commerce solution. They need to find a good e-commerce solution that's out there and then just apply their brand to it. And that could be Shopify. There's plenty of other ones. As you go up the scale, there's Magento, and there's a lot of bigger enterprise level products out there. Generally, though, with the DIY or WYSIWYG editors, it's primarily for smaller businesses. WYSIWYG? WYSIWYG is what you see.
Yeah.
You get. Yeah, we're throwing in some.
Yep.
But yeah, they're great tools, and they certainly should be considered, especially from a budgetary constraint, and then from really just what you need. If you're not trying to build out complex custom functionality, or if you simply need a marketing website, they're a great option.
Well, so I forgot to disagree with you, but now that I remember, I really want to disagree with you as far as how, because you said something about different brands will have the same template. How far can you go with customizing it so that you don't look like someone else? There are templates, and Squarespace keeps coming up with new ones and better ones. So back in the day, the way that Squarespace used to work was very templated. Now you can totally start with a template and customize it, but then you can start from scratch. So it doesn't have to be a template, but there are so many things that make this process so much faster.
For someone that doesn't know how to code.
Correct. Yes. Exactly. So it's actually funny because I've been reading about this. A lot of people say that people who know how to code actually have a hard time learning Squarespace, which was shocking to me because I thought it would be the other way around. I thought,
I can speak directly to this. It's a slide aside. It's related, but we use a lot of WordPress. We use WordPress a lot. We think it's a great platform for scalability and functionality because the plugin network's massive. Anytime a client comes to say, here's the template that we want to use, we will investigate whether that's an option, but generally we don't use template WordPress websites. The reason why is because templates generally are very robust in what they're capable of because the team or person building that template wants to have the broadest audience possible. It's like the kitchen sink kind of concept. They build every single type of component that could go into it. They have to build a broad solution that anybody can use it. And for me and my team, that's actually harder to unpack that and make it exactly how the client wants it or needs it to be than just doing it from scratch.
I totally agree. It's totally true. It's the same thing as trying to fix someone else's brand identity, like taking out pieces and trying to reassemble everything. It's actually much easier to just scrap everything and do it from scratch. I agree. So, and I don't know a whole lot about templates specifically for WordPress. So I've seen a lot of lawyers, for example, going straight for a WordPress template. They're all very similar to each other, but they all have the functionality, I'm assuming, that every lawyer wants to have, right? So
yes and no. I do have some clients that are in the legal field, so I understand a little nuance in there, but generally you're right. They just want here's our information, here's our rates, here's what we do, contact us. That's,
Okay.
a vast majority. A lot of legal matters are very secure and important, and there's HIPAA requirements and all these things. So custom site allows them to create more security for these type of documents than if you would using Squarespace or even WordPress in some instances. There are some security and some privacy issues depending on what kind of content you're uploading or need to share with your...
Well, this is my disagree pose. No, it's interesting because I'm not 100% if Squarespace doesn't have the same capabilities. So I'm just saying yes, but honestly, I would have to do some more research because I'm not sure. Okay, so what is a good example of a custom functionality that a client needed and you used WordPress for it?
Well, I mean, it doesn't even have to be WordPress, because the one thing I do like about WordPress is it's been around forever. The plugin community is very massive. So a good example would be like if they needed a membership portal on their platform and they needed to have all these different permissions about who could see what documents, who could see what forms, who could have access to particular types of content, payment gateways where they have to do a certain level of subscription to be involved with those things. Those, a lot of times you can just find a plugin and just drop it into WordPress and then style it accordingly. But you can also build custom on top of WordPress. And again, WordPress is just one solution. Anytime that you have a SaaS product where your business is your product, sometimes, I would say the majority of the time, it's hard to accomplish that using a WYSIWYG or website builder, because your IP is your product, is your website. So I guess that kind of segues into what does custom code offer you and when would you use it? And a lot of times it's specifically if you have custom features or custom integrations that just don't necessarily align with what a website builder was, because maybe it's not as common of a solution.
So like, for example, an interactive map.
Sure.
For example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was trying to think if I've seen an interactive map on kind of like one of those solutions. But yeah, I mean, anything that is beyond the scope of a marketing website that may require some custom development.
Sure.
And I do know that you can put some custom widgets into some of the builders, but at some point you may run into a code block there. We've reached the kind of end road of what this thing is going to allow us to do. That certainly should be considered. Scalability of the platform needs to be considered when you're making that choice. One of the things also is that with template sites, and this could be any type of builder, WordPress included, the performance of that website is a concern. Because when you have template, needs to be kind of a kitchen sink that needs to have capabilities of all these different things if you want to use it. That usually creates bloat in the code, and usually creates a lot of JavaScript for all these different things that you may never use. So your website can be less performant than if you just built it custom. Perfect example. A lot of template websites have slideshow or sliders that the content will move across. There's navigation to them. If you don't use that, that's extra, call it nonsense, in your code on the back end that's loaded every single time the page is loaded.
Wait. So how would that work? Meaning, if I'm building a website in Squarespace, for example, I have every website is built in sections.
Sure.
Right? So I get to decide which blocks go in which section and how far they're customized. So if I don't use the block that does the slideshow, why would it appear in the code?
It's not the HTML visual structure, but it's generally the JavaScript that makes that function on the back end. Ideally, the website builders would programmatically add or remove functionality based on your usage of it. But generally, that my experience, they just have this massive JavaScript file that does everything that it could ever do, even if only use a tiny little portion of it. So every time your website's loaded, it's loading this information and it's checking for things and it's doing stuff. And this is all behind the scenes stuff. This isn't stuff that you would control. But generally, that's any template website is going to have more in it than you require, unless you're using every single instance of that particular template. Just the idea of, if it's custom, you can decide what is being loaded or not in a more performant fashion.
Right. You live and you learn. I just want to say that I've never run into an issue of a Squarespace site not loading, or unless something's broken, or loading super slow. But there are ways for people to check loading speeds, right?
Yeah, but there's only going to be so much they can even control with the builder, because the builder, you can't go in and say, don't add this. If you're using a builder, their job is to make sure your website works as seamless as possible for your needs, but you don't have a certain level of control that you do with a custom solution.
Okay, so if I am a small business owner or a big business owner, let's say that I am looking for a marketing website, right? It's pretty straightforward. Let's say I want to have home, about, services, blog, contact form.
Just a basic marketing website.
Just super basic. I don't even know there's anything else. How long would it take you or agency to develop something like that for them?
That's a very loaded question, I guess, because
Yeah.
What's the strategy of the website? Who's your audience? What's the brand? What's the goals of this website? What are you trying to create with it?
Okay, let's say that you have the wireframes. You've gone through that process. How long does it take for you to develop
To build it. Okay. Depending on what platform it is, our website projects usually range from 3 to 6 months for everything. So if we're talking about just the development side of it, it'd probably be about a month, I guess. Yeah, and that's like a ballpark because obviously there's a lot that goes into it. But 2-week sprints to build out the custom solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Was that just for insight? Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's really interesting because to me, and again, I'm more of a designer than I am a developer, but I do use code in case I need to, just because I want to and provide some more flexibility.
And I think, honestly, it was a good question. For me, because of my experience, it's quicker and easier for me to build it custom than it is to try to use a solution like Squarespace or Webflow, which I have a very polarizing view of Webflow and I do not like it. Because to me, it's like using Dreamweaver back in the day. But for a designer that doesn't know how to code or doesn't want to code or doesn't have a team of developers that can build these out, it's a really great solution. But for me, because I know the nuances of how to put a website together from a technical fashion, it actually takes me longer to build it in Webflow because it's a totally different way of doing it. But it all depends on if the business owner wants to have some control over the situation and they want to be able to DIY a solution. There's nothing wrong with using a website builder. Generally, the clients that we work want to have nothing to do with the website. They want it to work. They want their marketing team to be able to populate the content for their needs. They want to be able to add in these, I won't call it random, but occasional custom solutions that they want very specifically for their marketing technology stack. And we've just run into issues trying to do that with the website builder tools.
Okay.
So we generally, it's not that we won't do the website builder tools, but we usually don't. We're doing, I guess, bigger type of solutions that have not more sophisticated needs, but bigger needs.
Yeah, I hope you didn't want to say more sophisticated.
Well, sometimes.
Let's see how it is. Okay. I'm sure I had a question in there too, but I totally forgot. So let's move on.
Okay. Sounds good. So who is custom code for? Generally, it's for really anyone that wants to have more control over their content, over their functionality, and the experience that you're creating beyond what these builders will offer.
Okay, so question, because you mentioned something that's really important for people that are looking to have their website built, the level of control that the client has over changing their content on their website and customizing and whatnot. So what does that look like from your experience with clients that are doing it themselves?
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like? Is it difficult? Are there any issues? Do they come to you with like, hey, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? What does that look like?
Well, it's all across the board. So it depends on what solution we're implementing. But generally, if the client wants someone to manage their website, then you don't have to worry so much about how do they manage it. But generally, we'll just use WordPress again because we're talking about it a bit. We use a lot of tools, specifically ones called advanced custom fields, which allows us to build the website in a very structured but customizable way. So it's almost kind of widgets, to kind of your point earlier about Squarespace. You can pick a block and this is the type of content I want. And then they have the ability to edit that content. But generally, we're, as a group, dictating what can or cannot be updated in those particular instances. Because one, we want to have a sense of uniformity across the website. So they can't go in and just make some text red for some random reason, because then it could kind of break down in the brand. Or we can open up things and then they can have more free reign. So it really is dependent on what their team needs and what type of content is being updated. Let's say it's a large organization and there's a team that handles certain content and another team that handles other content, and this few people that are very technical and they can do these things, then you can create that level of permission. Because it's custom, it really is anything that needs to be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, it goes to show that we work in different spaces, right? Like you work with bigger companies with different teams. I usually work with smaller clients that want to have control over their sites. So I train them. I do a training at the end of our project, and then they also have resources. It has to be a conversation in the beginning with clients, right?
Does your team want to manage this content?
Right.
How do they want to do that? What are the things that are important to them for you to be able to update on a regular basis? When do you not want to manage it? When do you want us to be able to be a resource for you? So again, it's not that either tool is wrong. It depends on what your needs are. And I think, for the custom code to kind of wrap that kind of conversation up is, who is it for? Again, it's for people that need and want custom features. They want custom things. They've moved beyond, we just have a marketing website. Now we need to offer maybe tools or features or integrations that some of these platforms may not offer.
Sure.
And for even the ownership and the IP of your product, with the website builders, generally the content that you put in there is yours, but not the design, not the templates, not the underlying functionality and structure of the system. So that's another consideration that you have to keep in mind. And a lot of people don't need that.
I was just going to say, when would you need that?
When your website becomes more than just a marketing brochure, like a SaaS product, software as a service, or if you are offering very unique aspects within your website experience, sometimes those things are important. And even from a business owner standpoint, at some point, if you want to sell your business, if the website is a really critical piece of that business, it probably shouldn't be on a platform that A, tomorrow can go away, B, they change their pricing, and then all of a sudden your revenue model's different.
Okay, I have so many questions. Okay, so you're saying that the website builder can go away. What about anything else? Like why would that go away versus something else?
Because if you have a custom solution, you can just take everything that you have and just move it to a different host.
It's not
if you have a website on Squarespace, and again, I don't think Squarespace is going away, but if you have a website on Squarespace, they can do whatever they want because it's their platform. They can change their pricing. One of the things about Webflow that I'm not a huge fan of is the pricing model. Generally, it seems cheap. Like it seems like, oh, this is so cost effective. And then as soon as you add maybe a team member or two, or your traffic starts to get more, like there's tiers of traffic, and all of a sudden you're paying a lot more money because of that. And you don't have any control of that. This is the platform I use and it's great. But it's primarily as you're growing or as you reach a certain stage in your business that these become more important considerations.
Yes. But so one thing I want to say is that I actually don't like calling websites that are used, that are made with the builder brochures, because I know what you mean, but brochure.
It's the website that you described earlier to me is a brochure website.
But they're
about us, who we are, contact us.
Correct. Correct. But I just don't want there to be like a perception that it's completely not interactive. You know what I mean? Like, it's a tool just like anyone else, any other tool.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. So one thing that I wanted to say was, when you develop on WordPress, do you go through wireframes, then design, and then
it depends on the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever go straight into?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Good.
I usually don't, because I think when you design inside of a tool, you're limited in your creative thinking beyond that tool. Perfect example, we like this template. Okay, cool. We're going to start using this template. You're already limited to what that template offers you. And there's probably ways you can push it this way or that, but you're limited in the experience that you're capable of building. That could be a good thing too. Like as designers, we always talk about like, oh, we just want to create, but having that box allows you to be creative within restriction. But yeah, it depends on the project. If there's a lot of functionality, we'll certainly do wireframes to make sure that the user flow and the experience is all in line. But if it's a small brochure website, it's a small marketing website that's brochure-esque, that could probably just generally be designed because it's more informational. There's less user pathways and funnels through different things. It's just a smaller scale site. But yeah, it just depends on the project.
Again, I just want to emphasize the fact that for the templates, because I feel like we're also getting not hung up, but like Squarespace, and I can only speak to that. Hold on. Seriously, if you guys want to sponsor us, just let me know. You will know where to find me. But Squarespace has a builder that allows you to create.
A designer, though. I'm talking about a business owner.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then at the same time, it's like you, as a business owner, you don't want to build your own website. Like, how much time do you have on your hands? You know what I mean? And how much effort do you want to put into something that will probably end up being frustrating? I promise you the last thing I'm going to say about this is there's also the component, because we talk a lot about functionality and the like technical aspects of it. But there's also the aspect of branding. And by branding, I don't mean colors, fonts, photos, and stuff like that. That too. But branding, since it's such a visceral feeling that you're getting from a brand, it doesn't matter what tool it is, but it's just something that you as a business owner have to keep in mind. Mm-hmm. Same thing with designers, right? There is a certain level of emotion, and that emotion can be translated onto so many different things. How the website behaves, how fast it moves, right? And the animations and even the user flows. It's not just the content itself, too, but it's also how it's navigated. And all of those things need to be taken into consideration. So I just want to make sure that people know that it's not just a matter of sitting and making this block goes here and this block goes here, boom, done. Yeah. So there's a lot more to it.
No, absolutely. And for a business owner that likes that wants to DIY, there's a lot of solutions. The website builders, they can solve those problems for that. Is it going to be the same level of, I won't even say success, but just final product that if they hired somebody to help them, even with a website builder or a custom website? Probably not. But the tool is there for a reason, and there are use cases for both. And I think, generally, which one is right for which? I think if you're considering no code, it's primarily that you're a smaller business or a personal brand, or you're trying to launch something quickly. This doesn't, at your stage in business, you don't have to have this giant solution. It's just, hey, we need to have a presence. We need to be online. We need to get some stuff up. Let's do this first. Let's, spend less investment because it's not critical for us at this moment, and get it live and go from there. And I think they make a lot of sense for that. And there's even a gap between that and custom, because there's also a lot of brands that just don't need this custom solution. Mm-hmm. And Squarespace and the other ones will work just perfectly fine for them. And, it's a really good choice for that too. But then once you start getting into, do you need custom functionality? Are there really specific integrations that you need for your business or your marketing team or your legal solutions? You may be encroaching into a more custom solution.
Now that we're talking about it, it is interesting to me how those things are evolving. And a lot of the website builders also have memberships, that you can sell products, you can put things behind a paid wall, you can monetize it. Actually, just wanted to say that Squarespace also has this amazing thing. If you want to create a course and sell it as a content behind a paid wall, you can do it easily. So I'm just,
when's your check coming?
Right. Hold on. No, but seriously, and I know Squarespace does have limitations. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely some limitations, and that's why I want to have a conversation with the client in the beginning, and we have to figure out what this website is supposed to do for you, because this might not be the choice for you.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I will send people to Shopify, and I'll say.
And the one thing with Shopify, I will say is, Shopify has a good mixture of both the ability to have more of the website builder solution with the templates, but then we built totally custom websites that Shopify just is the e-commerce part of a website. Mm-hmm. So there's levels to the solutions. It just depends on what you're looking for and need. But the way that I view it is website builders are smaller businesses, maybe a startup that's just trying to validate ideas and get funding, personal brands, just more smaller marketing minded websites. And then as you as you scale up in terms of your needs, the company growth, the reasons why your website even exists to begin with, then you start getting more and more into custom development and longer term solutions.
I would really like to disagree. Just because I want to create some drama, but I can't, because I think you're right. There's nothing to disagree on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I think on that non-disagreement, I think we've covered quite a bit.
I think so.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks.
See you next time.
See ya. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, your brand story is yours to define.
Follow us at Co-Branded for more tips and strategies. Stay curious, stay creative, and we'll catch you next time.